what makes a good rental property in a specific community. There's certain factors that we look at when we're looking for properties for clients. We take a lot of these things into consideration, and it depends on everybody's budget, where they want to buy, when they're ready to buy, what they can qualify for, whether they're doing it for themselves, whether they're doing it as a joint venture. So we'll just quickly go over these things. The number one thing we're looking for is location. Now, we're not talking a specific community within the city. We're talking a specific location within each community.
Yeah, exactly. For example, there's a difference just in Southwood last night, and there's a difference between east of Elbow in Southwood and west of Elbow in Southwood. On the west side, you have huge mature trees. The streets are a little bit wider. The lots are a little bit bigger. On the east side, down near the train tracks, you have half duplexes, rows of them, okay? Yeah. So, and that has a different kind of population down there. So there is a difference, and Tim and I point that out, that not every within the community is all the same.
Yeah, and what's the community close to? Is it a community that's around a hospital? Is it a community that's around a shopping mall? Is it a community that's around a university? All of those things we take into consideration when searching for rental properties. And it's one thing that everybody else should look at as well. Number two is the property's condition and features. We were looking at a number of properties yesterday, and we walked into one right away, and Azad said, "No, you're not buying this," and we turned around and walked out.
Yeah.
So the condition of the property really does matter.
Yeah, and not only the condition, the level of renovations, because we're seeing some flippers out there doing some bad work.
You might see some very, very nice pictures on the MLS, but once you get in there, take a close look at the workmanship and whether it was done right or not.
Yeah, you almost have to go in and fix the property after some of these renovations. So anyway, next one is affordability. This is massive. As we said, there's a sweet spot. On suite of properties going above 650K right now, it's hard to cash flow. When you're buying townhouses going above 450,000, it's harder to cash flow depending on the community. So if we're going to go right up to that threshold of 450,000, we got to make sure we're buying in a community that can yield those rents to cover the costs. Okay, so affordability is huge. And if you're just starting off, you don't want to max out. We're the first people to tell you maybe you should just take a step back and this is what you should buy. Some of our clients don't like to hear that, but if your aim is to own a portfolio of real estate, sometimes delaying gratification will help you get what you want sooner than later. Tim, we made that mistake. Yeah. We went out and bought multiple houses where we shouldn't have in the early days. And you know what? We were left when the market did turn, our properties weren't cash flowing. So it is key that it has to cash flow no matter what, worst case scenario, or that your portfolio as a whole is cash flowing, either or.
Yeah. So number three is tenant demographics. We spoke about this. If you're in a certain community and you want to rent to that community, then search out those pockets where that ethnic group lives, or that that demographic lives. On the flip side of that, if you're in a community like that, don't rent to that guy with the MAGA hat and the monster truck that he's going to park out on the front lawn. Yeah. It just won't work. It won't match with the community. Yeah. Number four is demand and market conditions. Search out the rental demand in the community that you want to buy your rental property in. Look on all the rental sites, look on Facebook Marketplace, look on Rent Faster. If you're looking in Southwood and there's, 400 properties similar to yours for rent in Southwood, maybe that's not a good place that you want to buy that property. Right? You have to know what the rental demand is in each community, and you have to do your homework and your research to find out what it is. Not only the rental demand, but the rental price. You don't want to be charging $2,000 for your townhouse if the going rental rate is $1,500.
Yeah, and that's where new communities scare us right now, because we don't know if 10 houses with basement suites will be completed next month, and then that just throws off demand and supply, right? And then you're done. So be careful.
Yeah. Number five, accessibility and transport links. Is it close to the train? Is it close to the ring road? Is it close to major arteries to get to and from downtown? Is it close to, places to get to the airport? You need to know this when you're buying a rental property. You need to know the geographical area of what's surrounding it, where the employment centers are, everything like that. So do your research,
Yeah.
And the last one, the community and the neighborhood vibe. This is sort of a artsy kind of thing, but we do take it into consideration.
Yeah.
If you go and you buy in Kensington or you buy in Marda Loop, each of those communities have a specific vibe. And what the tenants are going to be like when you're in there.
Yeah.
It's like when we're in say Inglewood, and we'll see someone walking by, with the puffer jacket and the specific hat. Now, as out of there's an Inglewood resident.
Yeah.
You just sort of know the vibe of the community, and it's not something you know immediately, but once you're in the community for a long time, you know what the vibe is, and that's what you're going to buy for.
Just make sure that vibe can pay rent. That's what you got to do.
Yeah. In Marda Loop, as that said, make sure there's a Starbucks and a Lulu.
Yeah, and then you're good. They can afford to have a coffee there. They can afford to pay rent.
Yeah.